The Constitution of the United States, written in 1787, it begins with the preamble, "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, and promote general welfare for ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America." And this first line points to the idea, as Abraham Lincoln said in his Gettysburg Address in 1863, that the United States is a nation governed by the people, for the people. The United States is a democracy. And in the United States, like other countries such as France, Japan, and South Korea, for example, democracy means freedom, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom to protest nonviolently against government. It also means the freedom to be uninvolved in government, though in Australia, people are legally required to vote. However, these freedoms, they do not exist in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, North Korea, which is one of the most politically repressed countries in the world. North Korea's government is a democracy in name only. For a discussion of authoritarian political ideology, see Module 4.4. Demos is Latin for the people. And the word democracy means a form of government in which the people are the ultimate political authority. In the United States today, every citizen who is 18 years of age, who is not a felon, or has not, by reason of insanity, been placed under the supervision of another person, has suffrage, which means the right to vote. Citizens can elect mayors and city council and school board representatives, as well as, at the local level, state and federal legislators, as well as US presidents indirectly, and so on. The people in this case, most adults, have the freedom to decide who will govern them. Before 1870, however, only white men had the right to vote nationwide. In that year, African American men were given the right to vote with the 15th Amendment to the Constitution, though it wasn't until the mid-1960s that blacks could vote without facing serious intimidation in the South and in parts of the Midwest. Until the Voting Rights Acts of Congress in 1965, literacy tests, poll taxes, and the grandfather clause were all used to disenfranchise blacks, particularly in the South. Women did not receive the vote nationwide until 1920, though they did have suffrage in several states before then. So even though fewer classes of people could vote in 1860 than can do so today, the United States was still a democracy because its government leaders were chosen by the nation's people. So as discussed in Module 5.4, Majority Rule, the US is a representative democracy, and the people sometimes exercise direct democracy. But what is this based on? The first direct democracy we know of was in the Greek city-state of Athens, where free male citizens debated and voted on every law. The framers of the US Constitution were opposed to direct democracy. They were afraid of mob rule or tyranny of the majority. Support for direct democracy in the United States didn't become strong until the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The framers were also committed to a republican democracy. Simply put, it's a republic political system without a monarch. So it's where the people have political power. They exercise popular sovereignty. Some see the United States as operating on the theory of political pluralism, meaning that political power is more evenly distributed throughout society and public policies emerge from compromises reached among competing groups. Different interest groups argue for different things. They are then willing to make political compromises and accommodations, which is considered the art of politics. A potential problem is that interest groups can be led and financed by elites. Yet another problem is, as Publius wrote in the Federalist Papers discussed in Module 5.6.5, that factions, which is another word for interest groups, could put their own causes ahead of the national good. Despite these problems, the results of the framers' work in Philadelphia that long, hot summer of 1787 was a success. The Constitution takes up only about 9 pages in a textbook. In fact, you can carry your rights around with you in your pocket Constitution. And this is my favorite version, a bicentennial edition I carried around with me. This became the #2 best-selling book on Amazon.com after the 2016 Democratic National Convention, when Mr. Khan at the DNC, a Virginia attorney, He was speaking about his son who had died in service to the country, and he waved it in the air, and he questioned whether the Republican nominee, Donald Trump, had read it, and said that he carried his with him as well and would be happy to loan the Republican nominee his. The Constitution has been changed or amended just 27 times. And one of those amendments, the 18th Amendment, which banned the manufacture, sale, or transport of intoxicating liquors, was repealed by the 21st Amendment. One reason for this is that it is so difficult to amend, as discussed in the previous module, Module 5.6.5. Review this video and do the questions and read over the textbook thoroughly.